All right. Good afternoon. Welcome. Let's go ahead and get started. So we'll start on our backs. Okay, so let's go feet a little bit wider. Knees will come together to touch. So it's going to be a little bit more relaxing to start, and we'll get up and get moving. Okay, so just go ahead and rest one hand on the stomach. One hand will rest on the chest. Walk those shoulder blades together so they feel like they're lying nice and flat. You don't have the ends of the shoulder blades digging into the mat. You know, adjusting those feet, we want the feet just wide enough that those knees fall together to touch and they can support each other. Close down the eyes if you haven't already. And just breathe in and out through the nose. Big breath in. And nice and slow on that exhale. Again, just big breath in. Nice slow exhale. Really notice the lungs filling with air, that big expansion of that rib cage. And exhaling that breath out, pressing that breath out, tightening that core to press all of that air out, keeping that core engaged as we inhale. So it'll be a little bit more of a feeling of expanding through that rib cage. More forceful with that breath. So pull that breath in, press that breath out. So you're hearing that breath. That sound that you can focus your attention on. Let's start to bring those knees up. So knees will stack right over those hips. Shins will be parallel to the ground. Arms out to that T or to a field goal position. And we're going to bring those knees over to that right side, just hovering them. Maybe 45 degrees, maybe feel a little bit closer to the ground as long as that left shoulder stays down and that opposite shoulder stays down. Bring it back to center. Then exhale it over to that left side. Good. Inhale, come back to center. We'll go over to the right side. Back to center, to the left side. And center, to the right. And center, over to that left side. Then bring it back to center. Lower those feet down. Arms can come just right by the sides. Press into those feet. Bridge those hips up. So scooping that tailbone up. Maybe feeling a little bit of stretch to the quads and the hip flexors. Keeping that core nice and tight. And slowly roll those hips down. Let's do that 2 more times. Pressing into those feet. Lift the hips up. So feel like we're rolling up 1 vertebrae at a time. And we'll roll it back down. Last time, press, lift those hips up. And roll it back down. Let's hug that right knee into the chest. Left leg extends out. And then we'll just twist that knee across. That left arm will reach out. And then let's bring it back to center. Switching sides. Hug that left knee in. Right leg will reach out. And then we'll twist that left knee just across the body. Now bring that knee back to center. Hug the knees in. We're going to roll it forward and back. Okay, just come up to hands and knees. Let's just do a few rounds of cat-cow, a little more warm up through that spine. Inhale, drop that belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone as we look up. Exhale, we'll round that spine, press the shoulder blades away, draw that belly up and in. And inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, lift the tailbone as we look up. Exhale, round. Last time. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Exhale, round. Good. Now bring it back to neutral. Let's step those feet back to our plank. Chest pulls forward, core stays nice and tight. Let's breathe here. Let's go for 5, 4, gripping those fingertips and palms to the mat. 3, core tight, legs are strong. 2, and 1. Press those hips up and back. Your first downward facing dog. Take your time here, pedaling those feet out. Maybe a little bit of movement's what you need. Just maybe that stillness, just really pressing the hips up, the heels down. So one more breath. Now we'll inhale on the toes. Bend into those knees, stepping those feet top of the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, slide those hands down as we fold. Let that head hang. Stretch through those hamstrings. Then we'll bend into those knees, flatten out that back. Let's rise up to standing, reach it up nice and tall. Interlace those fingers, just reach those palms up and back. We'll stretch through those shoulders. Let's find that bend over to that right side. Inhale, bring it back up. Exhale it to the left side. And inhale, bring it back up. Exhale, flat back as we fold. Inhale, find that half lift, nice flat spine. Exhale, plant those hands. We're gonna step those feet back to our plank. We're gonna add in a push-up. So if you need to go onto those knees, you can. Get those shoulders high to those elbows. Press it back up nice and strong. Lower down, point those toes, lifting that chest up. So we can stay down with the rib cage on the mat, set cobra, or you can press it up into our upward facing dog. It feels good. You want to give it a little sway from side to side, a little stretch through those hips. You can. And then exhale. We'll send those hips up and back. Downward facing dog. And then we'll come high onto those toes. Bend those knees, step or float. Nice soft landing, those feet to the hands. Flat back on that inhale. And exhale, fold. Inhale, we'll rise. Interlace those fingers, palms up. So try and reach those arms back. And then side stretch to the right. Inhale, back up. Side stretch to the left. Inhale, bring it back up. And exhale, release those hands as we fold. Half lift on the inhale. Exhale, plant the hands. Step or hop it back right into that push-up. Pause in that low plank. Press it back up. And then we'll move through that vinyasa. Exhaling those hips to the sky, down dog. One more breath. And now inhale on the toes. Bend those knees, step, or if you hop, trying to be really, really quiet when we land. So finding a little bit of air time. Half lift on that inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, we'll rise. Interlace those fingers, palms up, side stretch to the right. Inhale it back up to the left. Inhale, reach it back up and fold. Half lift on the inhale and exhale. Plant the hands, step or hop the feet. If we're hopping the feet, go right into that low plank. Press it back up and then moving through the vinyasa. Exhaling those hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Now here in our down dog, we're gonna come onto the toes. Okay, really, really high on the toes so the heels are lifting up. We're gonna start to round through that low back, mid back, upper back. So the weight is shifting forward. So drawing that belly up and in, trying to get a little bit lighter on those toes. And then we'll flatten out that back as we come into our plank. Okay, now reverse it. So shoulder blades are gonna press away, rounding the upper back, mid back, low back, pressing those hips up really high, and then press those heels down to the mat for that down dog. Do that 2 more times. So really, really slow, a lot of core. So come onto the toes, draw that belly and round through the back. A lot of weight in the hands, little bit of weight in the toes. And then kind of even it out as we come into that plank. You reverse it, round, bring it up, hips high, and down dog. One more time. Rolling it forward. And roll it back. And now bring those feet together. Inhale, that right leg lifts. Exhale, curl that knee to the nose. Inhale, send it back up. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, curl it in, stepping that foot through. We're going to twist. Right arm reaches up. Lower that hand down. Straighten that front leg, coming high onto the back toes as we fold over that front leg. So feeling that stretch through that right hamstring. Okay, now we'll rebend into that front knee. Reach those arms up overhead into that high crescent lunge. So good, arms are pulling back, bending into that front knee. And we're going to interlace those fingers. Point those palms up. Let's again find that side stretch over to that right side. Bring those arms back up. Lower the hands down, setting that leg back to plank, or maybe doing that leg lifted. A little bit more challenging as we lower down. Inhale, lift that chest up. And exhale those hips to the sky. Downward facing dog. Feet together. Inhale, that left leg is going to lift. Exhale, curl that knee to the nose. Inhale, send it back up. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, curl it in. Step that foot through. Twisting, left arm reaches up. Lower that hand down. Straighten that front leg, folding over that left leg, lifting that right heel up as high as you can. Now we'll rebend into that front knee. Reach those arms up overhead into that crescent lunge. Squaring those hips off. Sink a little deeper into that left knee. Now we'll interlace those fingers. Palms will face up. Side stretch over to that left side. And inhale, bring it back up. Lower those hands down. Send that leg back so that you can keep that foot lifted. Lower down. Inhale, lifting the chest. Both legs will lower down at this point. And then exhaling those hips up and back. Downward facing dog. And now inhale on the toes. Bending into those knees. We're going to hop those feet right behind the hands. A little bit wider stance. Sinking those hips down into that squat. Okay, so the hips can be maybe a little bit higher. We want the back to be nice and flat. Okay, lower that right hand down. Left arm reaches up. And switch. Left hand reaches down towards the ground as that right arm reaches up. Okay, then we can lower those hands down. Maybe you just hop those feet back if you want to work on that crow pose. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, you can. So maybe bring those elbows up towards those triceps, shifting that weight forward, looking forward, lengthening through that spine as we maybe lift one foot, maybe both feet lift. Maybe we kind of march it here. And if you're feeling really confident, hop those feet back to a plank. Regardless of where you're at, let's add in that push-up, and then we'll move into that vinyasa. Hips to the sky, downward facing dog. Feet together. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, curl that knee to the nose. Inhale, send it back. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, curl that knee and lightly step that foot through. Okay, sink those hips down into that lunge. Twisting, right arm is going to reach up. Lower that hand down. Straighten that front leg as we fold over that right leg. Both legs don't have to be perfectly straight, but a little bit straighter than you would a lunge. And then we'll rebend into both knees, reaching those arms up. Interlace those fingers, palms up. Side stretch to the right. Inhale, bring it back up. And we'll lower those hands down. Send that leg back. Vinyasa. And exhaling those hips up and back. Down dog. Feet together. Inhale, that left leg is going to lift. Exhale, curl that knee to the nose. Inhale it back up. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, curl it in. Step that foot through. Twisting, left arm reaches up. Lower that hand down. Straighten that front leg. Come high onto the back. heel. Rebend into that front knee. Reach those arms up overhead. Core is tight. Interlace those fingers, palms up. Side stretched over to that left side. Inhale, bring it back up. And lower the hands down. Send that foot back. Vinyasa. And exhaling those hips up to the sky. Downward facing dog. Okay, now again, inhale on the toes. Bend into those knees. Float those feet right behind the hands. Okay, we can go right into that squat. So you're gonna try not to collapse so much at the bottom. Maybe come a little bit higher than your lowest point. Then we'll extend that right hand down. Left arm reaches up, so gaze out towards that left hand. Then we'll switch. Left hand reaches down, right arm reaches up. Now we practice that crow. So bring that weight into the hands. And so even if you're not lifting your feet up, you can still get a little bit of strength building in those arms and in the wrists. Now, if you have obviously pain in the wrist or something like that, let's not play around with it. But if everything's feeling pretty good, play around with it. Why not? Okay, so hands wide. Okay, come up onto the toes, knees up by the armpits, shifting that weight forward. So weights in the knees are on the triceps. Looking forward. We want that face pretty close to the ground. Really gripping those fingertips into the mat. And when you're ready, stepping or hopping the feet back. Let's add in that push-up and vinyasa. Good, exhaling, let's go into a quick child's pose. Just maybe 2 or 3 breaths here. Pressing into those palms to press the hips closer to the heels. A lot of length through the spine. And come back onto those hands and knees. Step it back to plank. Hips up, downward facing dog. And we'll bring those feet together. Inhale that right leg up. Exhale, curl that knee to the nose. Inhale, send it back up. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, curl it in. Nice soft landing with that foot twisting. Right arm reaches up. I'm going to stay right. I'm just going to go the other way, face the other way. So my right arm reaches up. Lower that hand down. Travel towards that long edge of the mat. We're going to lunge into that left knee, side lunge. Okay, now again, we're going to bring it back to the front. So we're going to go back to that lunge with a twist. Now lower that right forearm down. Back heel spins down. We're going to sweep that left arm back as we reach that arm up overhead into that extended side angle. Okay, so really strong through the back leg, gripping with those toes, lifting through the arches. Now again, not a lot of weight on this forearm. Okay, more you have that option of sliding that hand down right inside that foot. So again, the core and the legs are really strong. Not a lot of weight in this hand. Really big reach through that left arm. And then reverse it, rising on up. Straighten that front leg, flip that palm, reach it up and back. And now we're gonna re-tee out those arms. Keep that front leg straight. I just put a really soft bend in that front knee, so reach that hand forward. Lower that hand down to the shin or maybe all the way to the ground. Left arm is reaching up. Now from here, I'm gonna rotate. So I'm gonna come back to that twisting lunge. Left hand lowers down, left heel spins up, right arm reaches up. Now from here, I'm gonna bring my left hand forward a little bit more. Keep all that weight in the right foot, lift that left leg up. So we're coming into a revolving half moon. And so maybe we lift that left hand up. So we're just hovering it here. And now from here, we're gonna lower that left knee down. So left knee, left shin down towards the mat. Sink those hips down, okay? And then we're kind of already in that twist. So that left arm's just gonna come across, hug that knee, Right hand comes behind the back. Sit up nice and tall. And just try to twist here. One more breath. We can untwist those legs. Just go ahead and send it on back. If you want to move through a vinyasa, you can. Or if you need a quick child's pose or even just down dog is fine too. Good. Now from here, inhaling that left leg up. Exhale, curl that knee to the nose. Inhale, send it back up. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, curl it in, stepping that foot through. That left hand is planted down. Switch that. Right hand is down. Left hand is reaching up. And lower that hand down, traveling to that long edge of the mat. Turning the right toes out, side lunge into that right leg. Bring it back to the front of the mat. So back to that lunge with a twist. Lower that left forearm down towards the thigh. Right heel spins down. So warrior two stands with the feet. Reaching that right arm up overhead, that extended side angle. And if you want to lower that left hand down a little bit closer to the foot, you can. Inhale, we're going to rise up. Straighten that front leg. Flip that palm. Reach that arm up and back. And then we'll re-tee out the arms. Reaching that arm forward. Lower that hand down to the shin. Right arm is reaching up. Now we're going to spin that hand down. So we're going to come back to that twisting lunge. Now bringing that right hand forward. We're going to lift that right leg up. Keep twisting. Keep reaching that left arm up. Maybe we lift that right hand up off the mat. One more breath. And then we'll lower that right knee, right shin down towards the mat. So it's going to be just a couple inches past that left heel. Sink both hips down, and then we'll hug that left knee, and then twist. Left hand plants right at the base of the tailbone. Sit up nice and tall, and twist. And go ahead and unwind it. Swing those legs around. Coming into that plank. Optional vinyasa. And bring those hips up to the sky. Downward facing dog. Okay, now go ahead and step or hop those feet, your choice, to the top of the mat. Half lift on the inhale. And exhale, fold. Now, rise all the way up to standing. Take a big step open. Well, I'm going with my right leg, but it doesn't really matter. Just find that long edge of the mat. Bring those toes out just slightly. Hands come to heart center. We're going to sink over into that right knee. Keep the hips low. We're going to go over to that left knee. Get 2 more times each way. Stay really, really low. Over to the right side. And to the left. 1 more time. Over to the right. And to the left. Now bring it to center. Turn those toes in, heels out. Nice flat back on that inhale. And exhale, fold. So walking those hands back. Okay, we're going to try and make a tripod or a triangle with our head and our hands. Now, my hamstrings are usually not this sore, and I can get my head down on the ground, but it may not happen today. You can always walk those feet out a little bit wider. Okay, it gets your head a little bit closer to the ground. So flatten out that back on that inhale. Exhale, use those hands to pull that body back a little bit more. Now, if you can make it to where your head and your hands are on the ground, it's really hard to see in this position, but here would be my hands are back. My heels of my hands are in line with the heels of my feet. Okay, my head is down. Okay, so you guys kind of see that I'm making this tripod position with my head in my hands. Now, if you're in that position and you feel comfortable, if you know what I'm talking about, kicking your legs up into a handstand, feel free to go around and do that. Otherwise, we're just gonna stay here in that tripod position and just work on those hamstrings. Now, I'm gonna try this. It's been a minute, so let's see how this goes. I'm gonna use a wall, but basically you just get into that tripod position, okay? Here, you get onto your toes, then you start to put the weight into your head, into your hands, lift those hips up, woo, and then lift those legs up as well. So again, if you wanna just have a wall behind you for a little bit of support, you have that option, and then we'll reverse it. A little more controlled than I am. But there you go. Do you want to play around with that? If that's kind of something that you want to work up towards, like I said, I would recommend a wall behind you until you've practiced it a few times and you feel a little bit more comfortable. But we can start to make our way out of that forward fold. If you're still playing around, stay with it, okay? Give yourself another minute or two. Otherwise, just go ahead and walk it back to the front of the mat. Step the feet back. Let's clear it out with a vinyasa. And we'll exhale those hips back into that child's pose. And then come back onto those hands and knees. So then step it back to a plank and a down dog. Let's step that right foot outside that right hand. That knee lowers down. Let's bring that hand inside that knee. So you're going to press that knee away and the chest is going to press away. Now I'm not letting my whole body shift that direction. My hips are staying in the middle of the mat. Just pressing into that knee. A little more stretch that outer hip. Now I'm going to twist, reaching that right arm up. And if you want to start to bend that back knee, reaching for that foot, maybe it's accessible. Maybe you're just got a slight bend in the knee. As long as you're feeling that stretch through the quad and not any pain in the knee. Go ahead and release that foot, lower that hand down. Let's straighten that front leg, pull those toes back, stretch out those hamstrings. And we'll rebend into that knee. Go ahead and step it back into a three-legged dog. So that leg is lifting. Let's bend that top knee, open up through that hip. Let's bring that right knee towards that right wrist. Foot comes across, sliding that left leg back. Lower onto those forearms. Just rest it here in this pigeon for a few breaths. So gently pressing into that right shin, pull it back as that left knee's pulling forward. And then come back to those hands. Step it back, downward facing dog. And we'll go to the other side. We'll lift that left leg up. Step that foot outside that left hand. Back knee lowers down. And then we'll press the hand into that knee, pressing your body away as we press that knee out. Maybe you can start to bend that back knee as we twist, reaching back for that foot. And go ahead and release that foot. If you have it, straighten that front leg, pull those toes back. And then we'll rebend into that knee, send that leg up and back, three-legged dog. Open up that hip, bend that top knee. Weight is even in those hands. And then we'll bring that left knee towards that left wrist. Foot comes across into our pigeon. And slowly come back onto those hands. And step it back. Downward facing dog. And then go ahead and lower onto those knees. Let's go ahead and just come onto your back. Just hug those knees. Just give it a gentle rock from side to side. And now we'll keep that right knee hugged in. Left leg extends out. And then just use that left hand, draw that knee across the body. Right arm will reach out. Take that big breath in. And twist. Just relax into it. At that exhale, maybe you find a little bit more twist. And then bring that knee back to center. Switching sides, hug that left knee in. Right leg extends out. And twist. Bring that knee back to center. Hug both knees into the chest. And gently rock from side to side. And now hug those knees into the chest. Round that spine, bringing the forehead to the knees. And we'll extend those legs out. Reach those arms overhead. That full body stretch from the fingertips all the way down through those toes. And we'll exhale those arms down by the sides. Palms will face up. Shoulder blades will walk together. Take that big breath in. And exhale, sigh it out. Just let yourself completely relax and rest for these next few minutes. Begin to deepen your breath. Just gently begin to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Reaching those arms overhead for that full body stretch. Fingertips down through the toes. And hug those knees in. Just gently roll over onto that right side. That right arm is towards the head. The left arm just falls in front, completely resting on your side. And gently press yourself up into that comfortable seat. Eyes remain closed. Sitting tall, hands are just resting on your knees. We're just taking a few breaths here as we close out this practice. And then blinking those eyes open. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Have a great rest of your Labor Day. And I will see you guys back here tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. All right. Thanks, guys.